What's up, everybody? John's in a hole today. Literally. I'm about 4 feet under the soil surface in my crawl space. Ooh, I've been spending a lot of time down here. It is well lit because I put some very bright lights down so that I can work down here and rewire my house and plumb and do all kinds of fun stuff. So I've been having fun. First of all, thank you, Connor, for the hat. This is very nice. It's a very, very nice hat. Got grass. Connor Ward. It's very nice of him. I'm going to set that right there. There's a reason I'm down here. Now, what you can see behind me is the bedrock, the deep soil, the material that was under when they dug out the side of this mountain. And it is solid. I mean, this is what they hit. They got down to the bottom. But what's really cool is, since I've been spending an awful lot of time down here, I've sort of been thinking about, how does the topsoil formation actually happen? And how did we get the benefit of that? How is the earth creating that topsoil on a regular basis? And down here kind of gives you a kind of a cool view. So this is what I'd like to bring up. This is what's down in the rock here. Broken, fragmented rock under here. This is sort of a base formation of how topsoil is going to happen. How? Well, that's a great question. So check this out. We're down deep, right? There's in the plains there are wild grasses and obviously trees and things like that will dig down into the soil, then down into the bedrock and begin to crack it. Now, there are minerals inside these rocks, minerals that plants use and need, and as roots decide to drive down inside them like a wedge and crack this open, they will start to pull minerals out of that stone as it grinds away at it and just erodes it down in the subsurface layer. Those minerals then are going to be transported up that root. This root's going to get fatter, it's going to crack and make more space, and there's more air down here, transporting more minerals up to the surface. And then eventually, as you get up here and the plants begin to decay, fall down, animals, the soil life, anything that's up there begins to decay, you begin to form these layers and they sort of start to creep down, which would be this lovely material right here. This is topsoil out of my backyard. Again, I pull stuff out of there because I like to show it. I think it's pretty cool to see how nice it is and how it's kind of coming together deeper and deeper and deeper. Now, my grass is actually 80–90% dormant right now. It's going away. It's cold. There's snow today on the mountains down to about 7,500 feet. My house is about 6,900 right here. So it's cold. It's wet, and there's really no chance of getting really any active growth now at this point. So I'm actually going to be sending away some samples of this material to go see what we look like after this season of doing nothing but 002, a little bit of air rate, and keeping on a zero nitrogen program to see what the soil is actually looking like. Because my goal in all of this is actually here's some of the root ball that came up when I just chipped away at the material to get it up so you guys could kind of see. This is just cleaned with the soil taken off of it. This is just pretty much straight roots. I don't want to send that in with my sample. That is going to screw it up and say that I have so much organic matter that it would be shocking that anything's growing because there's not enough soil present. So I actually took this and cleaned it and dropped it down into this cup like this. This is part of it. And then this is the top that I tore away from it, so that I kind of just got all the soil off of it to get a nice clean sample. Now I'm still going to have little bits of roots and things in here, and I just want to make sure that this is really clean because I don't want that to be screwed up. I want to actually have a real sort of humus level tested here, not just seeing organic matter because I've got something else in there that I shouldn't. Okay? That's what I want to see. So this dirt has gotten darker and darker and darker, and I went out there with this little chisel right here and I just cut a little hole because I couldn't find my core because it's somewhere in my garage where all of the stuff from my house is right now, so I couldn't do it. But I did have this because I've been using this tool to do whatever weird things that I screw up with the wood. So anyway, we've got this sample. I'm gonna be sending this off to get a little test to see where we are and where we sit. And I wanna see where our organic matter is ending up on a clean sample, because that material is what's governing the release and the holding of the nutrients. It's in that soil humus. These are just the transporters, okay? And eventually this will aid and turn into this humus as it decays and changes and makes its way back and gets ground up and ate up by all the little creatures in the soil. This is what's going to make that soil even more rich. Now, because I didn't feed any nitrogen to the plant this year, it grew healthy, weed-free, didn't really have any issues with that. Grew very slow. I only had to mow it like 2 or maybe 2-3 week gaps. I kept it high so that it was never really stressed out, and let the soil just grow. Essentially, is what I was doing, was growing topsoil this year. So when you think about it, and I'm going to kind of equate a couple of different products of ours when I talk about this a little bit. Your soil is made up of plates, okay? Plates stacked on top of each other. These plates have space between them. Some are tightly packed. Now, when you have no water and no air, these plates are squished down like this. There is no way that anything is going to get in. Then there's also no way anything is going to get out. And that's what I'm talking about with nutrients. You will not get released. And that's when people start to think, well, I have dead soil. I can't grow anything in here because it's dead. Well, it's not necessarily dead, but you've taken away the free space, and the free space is very important. So half of your soil, half of this makeup right here, should be water and air. Water and air, half of it. That's kind of important, because, you know, in past, when we're talking about, say, plant makeup is going to be, say, 45% carbon, 45% oxygen, 6% hydrogen, and now we have all the rest. That little balance of, say, 4 to 6% is going to make up the rest of the mineralization. Well, in the soil, we've got about half of it is going to be your hydrogen and oxygen in that level, but, you know, water and air space. And then you've got another level, mineralization, that's going to be another 40 to 45%. That's going to take up another area. That's a nutrient load that's in the soil, may not be usable. Then the rest is going to be into your soil humus, which is actually controlling, changing the structure, allowing nutrients to flow and move. Now, there have been experiments where people have tried to release soil nutrients out of the humus fraction of the soil, blasting it with acids and all kinds of things, and had no effect, zero effect. The most effective tool for doing that is the exchange of hydrogen with the plant root. Okay, it does it all the time. That's how it's pulling things out. So your plant roots have the ability to get in here how they need to and create that space, right? Find it, open it up, move it, get out what it needs to, and change this layer. And we begin to fill this space then. If a root taps down inside and starts to open it up and crack through these surfaces, now we're going to get greater water, greater air, greater carbon breaking down into the soil, more mineralization of this material being ground and sent back up to the surface, so that it can turn from this material right here back up into this material right here. Now, people who've been on our products for a long time, people who've been on them for a short time, you can go out and you will literally see a change in one season. You can see your soil turning into topsoil. And the longer you do that, now there's a few things that we're doing in order to make this happen. It's not just because, hey, we're applying some carbon and that's not it, okay? We're just encouraging the plants to grow in a different way so that it can rebuild the soil on itself. Now, if I were to take a load of nitrogen and throw it down in here, it's something else is going to have to move out of the way in order for that nitrogen to be used. That's how it works. If you load something in, something else gets pushed away. You only have a certain volume of anything, so you can't increase that volume at any time. So as we are able to cut down on some of these additives like nitrogen going out, we're able to allow the plants to grow and fill the space back up and all of the little bacteria and everything else go in here. Because if we lose the moisture, let's say, if we lose the root mass, if we start to see that decline and move back to the surface, like what happens when you're feeding a lot of nitrogen. Roots tend to go towards where the food is. It's just like I've said before, it's like feeding fish, okay? Fish can work around in here, but if you throw some stuff on the surface, everything's gonna come up. So a lot of the time when you're dealing with like granular feeding and putting material out like that, you have to work through roots and everything trying to get up to get that material because it doesn't break down and solubilize fast enough. Or if you're in a sandy zone, which a lot of people are, you might see that wash through very quickly because you have so much pore space and not enough holding it together. So when we start to build this safety net by getting the roots to grow, by getting the grass to kind of slow down and allow to decay properly and actually build up this humus layer, your stuff is going to start to get more and more usable. And now for every 1% of actual humus material that's in there, you're going to have a roughly 20 pounds of available N per acre per season. Every 1%. Now think about that for a second. If you were able to bring your profile up to 3, 4, 5% of actual humus, not just, I'm not talking about root mass organic matter, I'm talking about what's actually been broken down and turned into real soil humus. Why would you need to feed it nitrogen at that point? You could just start to support the soil only, and that would be by these micro feeding the plants to give it some color through foliar applications, and just letting it work the way it's supposed to. So I wanted to share that with you because I am still very much in the throes of this whole thing. It's coming together quite nicely, and that's all I've got for today. Go ahead and shoot me some questions, comments. I love to talk about soil. I hope everybody out there is able to really understand what I'm going for here. This is an educational channel. You know, at some point, if we're out there on lawns, I'll solve problems. But this is the base of what I love to do and what I am trying to accomplish for everybody else out there. Let's build topsoil, increase fertility naturally by encouraging these other natural cycles. So I'll talk to you guys all real soon. Bye-bye from the basement. We'll see ya.